What's up, everybody?
Yeah, good afternoon.
It is. Yeah, this is a. I don't remember when we've done one this time of day. It's been a while.
We've done them here and there. I guess had an afternoon recording. You never know what time of day we're gonna record.
You don't. That's what we're. For people that don't know, here in our West Tennessee area, we are kind of snowed in and getting a little ice today. And
yeah, it's been an interesting week. Today's Thursday.
Yep.
I guess about this time on Sunday it started snowing. Snowed till about midday on Monday. Didn't get a whole lot. What did we get? Like 4 or 5 inches.
Yeah.
And it's just been so dang cold. None of it's melted. And then we had like a light rain this morning that kind of froze as it was hitting the ground. And
I told I had to give my wife and some of her coworkers a ride to work, and they were like, "How much snow did we get?" And I said, "I don't know. It was a good bit." And they were like, "You didn't go measure it?" And I said, "Well, somebody said about 3 or 4 inches, but I'd say about a foot."
I make some of those, and like anytime we're getting some snow, and it'll be like my wife's like, "It's gonna be 4 inches." I was like, "Well, you need at least 6 to have a good time."
Yeah.
And she always gives me like the side eye.
Yeah. She's like, "Well, where's my 6 pin?"
Yeah.
But yeah, it got super icy today. But yeah, I did when I just went and dropped my kids off. It was not bad. It's just slushy, but it's gonna get bad.
Whatever. We got up to like 30 or something like that today, close to it. So it is kind of melting. Even though the sun's not shining.
And did you see, heck, even Saturday, the high is like 20 degrees.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing. It warmed up. I think it's going to get up to like 34 tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're supposed to have any sunshine, so it won't melt a lot more.
Yeah.
And then, Saturday our high is 20.
Yeah, it's going to be. And then next week, it's literally all rain.
Yeah. Yeah. It's now, once we get to Monday, we won't see freezing temperatures again in the long range in like the 2-week forecast.
Yeah.
There's some lows that are close to freezing, but you're right. It's like 5 straight days of rain next week. So this has been the most unproductive week for me. And yeah, it sounds like next week is also going to be insanely unproductive. Well, that's what, Saturday, because, I'm kind of looking forward to it. I was like, all right, that'd be one last chance to get some hay out on pasture.
Yeah.
Without rutting everything up and being just a god-awful muddy mess. But, because, I don't know, I've been, like my cows at home, I was actually putting out hay as it was starting to snow on Sunday.
Yeah.
And thankfully I hadn't had the tractor out in the pasture there again. Now I don't know. I think I'll be able to hold out until Saturday, and then ground will be good and hard again. But, I did have to take some hay up the road one day. I think it was Tuesday. I'll probably will have to take some hay to that group tomorrow. But anyway.
Well, that's what as you know, the fun part with livestock, I enjoy the cold weather for the most part. Like, I like it cold. But man, I just hate chopping ice. Like, every day is chopping ice. And my cows, which I got the small little herd, I got separated from the rest, and they just drink out of mineral tubs. I just got 2 mineral tubs in there side by side that I make sure are full every day. And man, them things they'll get solid with ice, which they're not as, actually, I'll tell you, taking care of the cows, I don't think it's as annoying as taking care of these rabbits and chickens, because I can't chop ice on there. Like, I have to try to figure out how to get them water in there.
We've just been taking like little plastic tubs out of the house.
To your chickens?
And just twice a day, I dump out, the block of ice that's in there and just give them some fresh water.
Yeah.
And we the last couple of days haven't been so bad because it hadn't been just brutally cold. But they're early in the week when our highs were like 15, because it was like, y'all better drink right now.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully if the chickens will come over there and maybe it's just started to freeze over, they can peck through it. But
that's what pissed me off with my chickens. I took a gallon jug and I cut it open, a big area for them to drink out of, and I filled it up and I put it in there, and I even swept the snow away from it, and I swept the path to their coop. And I put it down, and then I sprinkled feed along there so it guide them to it. None of them drank out of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. the idiots would not drink out of it. Like I told Marcy, I was like, our dumb chickens, they're going to die because they ain't drink water in like 3 days, but they've had access to water.
Well, as far as chopping ice, only ice I've had to chop is on a pond.
Well, you got your good heaters you were talking about going, I'm sure.
Right, I've got, I actually, those I have not had to use.
Okay.
I've got them because my 2 groups of cows that drink out of a tank, a water trough, I've got those freeze misers that I got a Y, and part of the Y goes to a float valve. The others on my freeze miser, when the water's below 37, it starts dripping.
Okay. Yeah.
Your dad like keeps a hose trickling.
Yeah.
It's basically like that, except it's automatic.
Oh, gotcha.
Like, and then when the temperature goes up, it cuts off.
So does it get like a control system on there?
No, it's just a tiny little tip you screw on there, but it's the way it's made. Somehow it's sensitive to the cold water.
Dang.
Which apparently, I don't know, I think you're on different water than I am, but we got a warning today. I was talking to another buddy of ours to conserve water because water's running low.
I got that because I think my farm store is probably on the same water you're on.
Okay. And and I'm like, well, it's like, I hate it, but I'm probably part of that problem because I got 2 different water tanks that water keeps trickling. But because it trickles, it keeps it even open.
Yeah.
At least, because that water coming out of the ground is warmer. And it'll be like, I'll have to knock out a little ice, but it doesn't take much at all.
Yeah.
Our horses got heated water buckets. Those are nice.
Yeah.
Like for your chickens, that'd be nice because, of course, you can run an extension cord real easy to them.
That's what some people were saying. You could take a crock pot and just put it on warm, and put it in there. But I'd have to have a real shitty crock pot that I would be willing to do that with.
I don't know what my wife paid for those buckets for the horses, but I'd imagine they're cheaper than a crock pot.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had a really old, I don't know how good those do, like being outdoors either, where these buckets are made to be outdoors.
Yeah.
You're not going to use them,
Well, I don't know if you can get them at agzaga.com, but you need to go check out agzaga.com anyways.
Yeah.
They've got don't they have the little the troughs that are made?
Yeah.
I don't know not a lot about them, but I think
the automatic waters, they do. I have to get on them because the heated water buckets I did not see on, because I would have, my wife knows good and well, you shop there first. But yeah, primarily, well, one, they're a great company, but then you use that discount code, Talk Dirt. All caps.
Yep.
And check them out. The bale net wrap specials are going on. They've got, like I mentioned last week, you buy a certain quantity, you get a free toolbox. It's like and it ain't just like a plastic, kid's toolbox or nothing like. No, it's
a good toolbox.
One toolbox you can mount, well, I think it's maybe the exact one like I've got on my truck,
like a Montezuma,
or when I had on my truck before I sold it. But
yeah.
Still in the process of trying to find a truck.
Well, there you go. Well, guys, go use that and hit that like button, hit subscribe. If you're listening, leave us a rating and a review. We're doing pretty good. I check periodically, and we pick up a rating and a review. Seems we've slowed down now. We pick up one about every couple days, and we're almost to 200.
Yeah, and we're getting a lot more downloads than that. So
we are.
There's probably 9 out of 10 out of you listening right now have not left a review.
Yep. Take
30 seconds, do it. We'll really appreciate it. We're going to have another giveaway here for too long.
Yeah. If you have some cool ideas or suggestions for a giveaway, submit them. Go to our contact page, talkdirtpodcast.com, and the contact form on there. Submit that. If you have questions, send them on there, because we're going to do a few listener questions today. And it's easier to keep up with them on there than, always feel free to reach out to us on Instagram or YouTube or whatever. But I'm just going to tell you that the most surefire way to get your question answered is to ask us on our website. It sends it in an email. It's easy to keep up with. So let's see. Before we get into that, the questions. I had some pretty cool, or actually, heck, we'll go to the questions first. We'll go there first. Still trying to shake this stupid cough and crud and everything else. All right. Daniel Roach, he writes in. He says, hello, I started listening to you guys, and I think I'm up to our most recent. I started trying to delete them as we do them. So He said, I started listening to you guys on the podcast over the summer and have to say that you guys are my favorite to listen to on topics and just how the atmosphere is while listening. I farm in Utah and grow alfalfa, grass, corn, barley, wheat, triticale, three-way forage, Sudan grass, and cereal rye. And we have a feedlot where we feed out our own calves to market weight every year. Oh, that's pretty cool. My wife is half Navajo, and some of her family members have experiences with skinwalkers where she grew up in New Mexico.
All right.
I know, that's pretty wicked. I am interested in seeing the feed ration chart that Bobby Lee has been asked for, if possible, to look it over versus what we are currently doing. Thank you. You guys are awesome. I have just recently started watching both of your YouTube channels. Daniel, I'll get your email to Bobby Lee for him to send that to you. It's pretty cool. He mentions in Utah. You know, that was one of the things I noticed when Marcy and I went to Utah. I noticed quite a bit of the like grass and alfalfa and different stuff, but their irrigation was really kind of fascinating because it was like kind of like it wasn't really center pivots. They ran on the ground, but they had like big wagon wheels or something.
Yeah, you see some of those in Montana. I think. I don't know. I really don't know much about it. It seems like you see that more like in hay operations. Seems like in of course this is fictional, but in Yellowstone, that you may notice some of those like in some of their fields. Yeah. I may be making that up too, but I had never seen. You don't see those around here. Yeah, like most irrigation around here is just your standard kind of center. Well, and pretty of course. We're obviously blessed with lots of rainfall, and so all our irrigated ground is, corn, soybeans. Yeah. I don't know. People do much irrigation over cotton. Well, I mean, some people. I talked to a guy. Well, it's funny. I actually talked to a dude about 2 weeks ago, and he was bitching about his irrigation and how he said if he could rewind the clock, he said rather than buying all the irrigation, he would have bought land. Because he told me, he said irrigation just does not pay for itself. Well, because again, we get pretty good rainfall. Now we go through periods of drought, but like a lot of those areas, even their hay crops, but like nobody around here is even thinking about irrigating just hay ground. Yeah. That's the only grass you'll see irrigated. Well, people's yards. And then of course, like turf grass farms, they're growing like sod. They'll be irrigated, but yeah, because it's likely. I mean, he could potentially be getting 18 inches of rain a year. Oh yeah, it may not be getting that many. So yeah, you see a lot of it out there. Well, I mean, Montana, anywhere in that part of the country, any kind of crop, whether it's hay or a grain crop, whatever, a lot of times is under irrigation. Well, Daniel, I want you to reach out again. I want you to share one of your stories. Write in and share one of your stories if you can about this skinwalker experiences, because you piqued my interest. I want to hear about this. Yep. I mean, that's like, I feel like that'd be like saying, I don't know, that you have a family member that fought beside William Wallace in the wars and what could tell you about it. I don't know. It's just, you've piqued my curiosity. So appreciate you writing in. Please reach back out and share your story. I'll get your stuff sent to Bobby Lee. Actually, I'm going to do that right now so that I don't forget. Yep, I'll send that over to you. Let's see here. Yeah, the ration I've got, the one thing, because of course, he doesn't say how big his operation is, doesn't really matter, but the ration and the kind of plant I've got is specifically designed for when you're doing just a real small number. Gotcha. Okay. All right, the next one comes in from Hunter. Hey, y'all, love y'all's podcast. Logan, I got some questions. We're from Prague. I guess that's Prague. Prague. Yeah. Prague, Oklahoma. Okay, I was about to say, like, Czech Republic. Well, that's what I was like. I was like, whoa, wow, man, dang. He types in awfully good English. He does. We are from Prague, Oklahoma, mostly eastern Oklahoma. So my grandpa has raised me up pretty much as a dad farmed with him most of my life. Well, 4 years ago, he wanted me to go get a better job, make some money, said won't make any money farming, wanted me to get a good retirement. So I went and got a job as a jet engine mechanic. Well, that sounds like a pretty darn good job.
Been doing that till now. He called me one day. He said he's getting ready to retire. He is 72 right now. I agreed to come back to farm and help him run it. He gave me 120 acres of rented land, and he still farms around 800 acres currently using his equipment, but I'm going to be working his and my land. I do currently have a loan out on a 467 JD Baylor and a 3688 International I bought for hay. But after I pay that off, what equipment should I go for in the row crop, going to be mainly a corn and soybean? We do use ripper and vertical till and work ground. I know you're a no-till man, and also wondering what things I could improve on this rented land. My grandpa was saying don't tie up a bunch of money into something that you could lose to someone else, but was wondering if cover crops would be a good thing to get into, and love that you want to help out the young starting farmers. You have definitely opened my eyes to some things watching and listening to your podcast. All right, man, we appreciate you writing in. So let's see here. There's a lot to break down. I just feel like a jet engine mechanic's probably a pretty darn good paying job.
I have no idea, but yeah, it sounds like it.
It does. I mean,
pretty specialized. It sounds. Yeah.
If I was flying a jet, I feel like I'd want the mechanic working on it to get paid well.
Oh God!
Like, yes. I would want that guy to be pretty happy with his job. All right. Well, I will say first, man, that's great that you got 120 acres to start with. That's a great starting point. Like, I think when I started, I was working probably about 80 acres. So 120 is really good. That's kind of a good way to kind of cut your teeth on it a little bit. And then 800 acres. I like that 1,000-acre range, which, let's see, in Oklahoma, I don't know their land prices. I don't know where their like yield potentials and stuff are there. But, I mean, just assuming it's similar somewhat to ours, man, 1,000 acres, if you do it right, you can make a living on 1,000 acres. Now, it's going to be tough, and it's kind of interesting here to me. The equipment I'd buy, so I am a no-till guy, and that was actually, it's funny, when I was reading this and you said use a ripper and vertical till, and then shortly after you said I'm a no-till man, I was immediately thinking, all right, I'd get rid of the ripper and vertical till. Now, I like vertical tillage sometimes, and even a ripper. I'm actually going to run a paratill on some ground this year that they had some timber cut and it really compacted it. But one of the great things about no-till is you don't need extra equipment. You need a planter that can get through the ground. But, I mean, that just one of the boosts to no-till is obviously the fact that you don't need the ripper and you don't need the vertical tillage. I mean, last year, I did absolutely all no-till minus where I was the only tillage I ever do really is when I'm putting ground back into farming that has been out of farming. So you've already got the ripper and vertical till, so it's not too bad. But if you wanted to, what I would say is, man, 120 acres, man, it's hard to say. My go-to starting point has always been a 5400 soybean special 20-foot drill.
Yeah.
But you're wanting to grow corn as well. And I started with a Case H 1200 pivot. That's a pivot planter. And it's a split row. It was a 1631. It was a 40-foot planter. And I mean, it was awesome because I found a guy, he was selling out, and I bought it for like $22,000. Now, if you've already got a tractor,
how big of a tractor you need to pull that?
Man, you're going to need some horsepower.
200 plus?
Yeah, I would probably not want to pull it because it takes a lot of hydraulic, which one thing it does, it's PTO shaft, or no, let's see, the 1200, it is PTO. It's got the pump actually bolts to the back of the tractor. So it's PTO driven. So it doesn't require quite as much hydraulic output as the newer ones, but it's still, and it's heavy, it's really heavy. Man, I would probably say about a 250 horsepower tractor.
Yeah.
So you need pretty good horsepower to pull these, but I'm thinking, what I'm looking at here is, I hate to tell a guy to buy a 20-foot planter. That's fine for 120 acres. But his grandpa's getting out of it, and if in 2 years he picks up the remaining 800 acres, that's going to be more than you would want to do with a 20-foot planter. I mean, it's going to take you forever with a 20-foot planter. So I would almost advise you to go ahead and be looking at this point. A 1200 is going to have a good bit of age on it. I would be looking at a 1200, and the things that you're going to have to watch on the 1200. And the same, I'm running a 1245 now, but your center pivot bushing in there is going to wear out. It's wore out in mine right now, and it's about a $5,000 repair. Or you can do it yourself, and you have to literally break the planter in half. And so I haven't worked up the balls to try to do either. But your center pivot's most likely going to be wore out on a 1200, and your electrical stuff is going to be, it's just this is kind of the old thing of, man, it's tough when you're starting out.
You get equipment that's worn out, that's affordable, and then you spend all your time and some money working on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
then you're broke down when you need to be running. Yeah.
Yeah. And the one thing I like about the red planters is they're very, I know how to work on them. Even my 1245 is cable drive now, so it's a lot more electronic, and it's got pneumatic downforce, which is the best thing ever. But, man, you can rebuild a red planter. It's still pretty simple, for the most part, the main drive design. You can still rebuild a lot of that. But, I can't tell you to not if you can find a good deal on about a 30 or 40-foot planter is the route I would tell you to go. I think even Kenzie's, they were kind of the original, supposed to be really built for no-till. But I've never run a Kenzie. And they may even still be chain drive on a lot of stuff. I kind of like some of the simplicity of stuff that you can work on.
I mean, he's obviously pretty mechanically inclined.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that he's definitely got a leg up on somebody like me right there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. He may be one of those guys, especially if you got you a nice heated shop where you can be, weeks like this where we haven't been able to do nothing. You be in there, still being super productive while the rest of the world is just sitting on their hands trying to stay warm.
That's very true. And that is true. I didn't think about the fact that you're already a mechanic. So, my encouragement would be a 1200 case H. I don't want to tell you to buy a 20-foot. You could get a 20-foot planter for $6,000-$7,000. I feel like you could find a 1200 for 20,000, 25.
Well, and I'm just kind of spitballing kind of as the outsider here on the row crop stuff, but of course a 5400, soybean special. I mean, you can find one of those pretty cheap, right?
Yeah.
And bulletproof when it comes to getting a soybean crop in.
As long as the chain will turn, it'll plant.
So, I don't know, even, just custom, if you're only going to have, say you end up with that other 800 acres, you're working 1,000 acres, you could custom hire, your corn planting for a year or two, if you really had to, until you really decided, found a screaming deal at an auction or something on a planter that would work for you, things like that. Assuming, you can buy a 5400 pretty cheap, because then you can turn around and get rid of that, or you keep it as a spare, if it's, kind of some of that used equipment gets to the point where it's it's worth more to me just to have it in the back of the shed just in case.
Yeah.
Then it's worth, just to sell it,
And that is true. If a lot of this is going to depend on the timeline of your grandfather getting out of it. If he feels like he's going to keep doing this for 6 more years and he's kind of letting you work this 120 till then, I would probably get a 5400 because the tractor, I don't know a lot on the 3688, I'm assuming is the tractor. It's international. I'm not a huge international guy. I know we had the 1066. I just sold my 7140, but I don't know a lot of their numbers. Is the 3688 international, is that a tractor?
Oh, I'm going to look it up. Yeah, I'm wanting to say the 88 series, because the Circle HC still have the 5488?
Yes. Yeah, he does. Yeah, I hate that tractor. Yeah. But I hate that tractor Probably worse than any tractor I've ever drove. The engineers, when I drive that tractor, I'm like, no wonder that they went broke with that tractor.
Let me see.
Yet I'm curious the horsepower of it.
So, yeah, there's an International Harvester, 3688. It's probably not going to be big enough.
Like 150 horse?
100 and, well, so his PTO is 113.
Okay.
But
yeah,
and here 126. Yeah, low. Yeah, a little over 100 horse.
You know, I would want bare minimum.
Which you could pull the 5400, especially if you got it like on a caddy with that.
Yeah, I mean it's, you know, and you're gonna want weights on there. Well, like I say, with a caddy, you'd be good. We've pulled them most of the time with 3-point hitch, and it would pull the front end off of that 45, 55. Yeah. I planted with it some, and it would pick the front end up off the ground with it. It'd scare you.
Yeah.
And you know, man, you're gonna want. I said 250. I don't know. You might could try to squeeze by with like if you could find a 8300. I think they're like 200 horsepower John Deere. You could make that work with a 1200, and because you want the weight too. Because I tell you, them planters, especially a 40 foot, which, man, I love that 40 foot. That's still what I use. Dad and them had a 30 foot when I had my 40, and you can just cover so much more ground. Like that 10 feet makes a big difference. But man, them things are heavy. You know, like, and if you now Oklahoma, that's pretty flat, I believe, ain't it?
You know, I'm not an expert. That part of Oklahoma, I've driven through there. Yeah, it's not like
a lot of hills.
Probably not even as bad of hills as some of what we got around here.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was going to say, because, man, I mean, out here, we've had, like, them red planters. I mean, it was, it's been several years ago, back when Dad still had the 30-foot. I don't remember if I've shared the story on here about the guy driving that was planting for him, and he jackknifed the tractor into the planter and ripped all the hoses off. I
know that story. I don't know if you told it here or if I've just heard it elsewhere, but
I don't think I have, because actually I'm glad I thought of this, because this is something to avoid on the 1200s. The first 1 or 2 years of the 1200s, they had a like a conveyor system for the hoses. It was these black plastic pieces that all attached together, and they would move with the hoses, because the planter, it swivels around and it's real long, and when you get ready to plant, it swivels around and then it all like retracts up in towards the tractor, and as it's retracting, it's got 40 foot 30 foot long hoses on it. Well, they got to go somewhere, and they had this track system on there, and the hoses just followed around it. It was the worst design ever. Like, yeah,
it's a lot of moving parts. Like I've never run one, but I've just seen y'all like fold and unfold them, and I'm like, man, it took a hell of a lot of engineering to put that together. But right, you're kind of like, it's not a simpler way. You know?
Yeah, and there he is, and they've luckily figured it out after about 2 years. Like mine now, and most of them you see now, they have like an arm system that kind of swivels or moves with it. They solved it. They got rid of the track system. Track system was terrible because it would also start falling apart.
Yeah.
And hoses would be coming out. And like Dad and them, it got to the point where it would take 2 people to unfold the thing, because somebody'd have to be back there like fishing the hoses around and all this. So Dad was like, man, screw this. So we engineered our own arms. We had some piping and like this little swivel ball thing, and we like kind of got to figuring what angle it needed to be on, and we actually welded them on there and made our own arms that would fold around. Well, man, we had not done that, and the guy that planted for us at the time, he was notorious. I always kind of said he was ready to go home from the moment he came in, and so he
didn't hurry.
He would run faster than he should. Well, man, it hadn't been, I don't know, 2 weeks since we built these arms. I mean, it took a lot of doing, like making these arms on this thing.
Fabricate all that.
Yeah, and we were really proud of this. Like, it ran really good. And, man, we get a call. It's like 4:00. 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And Dad calls me and he's like, you got to come with me. So-and-so's done jackknifed the damn planter. And I'm like, oh, are you shitting me? And he said, no. And he said he's got his
Just turning too sharp at the end of a row.
Yep. And what ultimately happened, he was turning too sharp, and then the planter weight kind of pushed the tractor just enough to, I think, where it kind of caused that jackknife. Because that's where you got to watch them bigger planters. When you turn, if you are on a hillside and you turn, it'll try to push the tractor, especially if you got the hoppers full, because we're running bulk fill tanks. But we get out there and there's like 10 hoses that are, I mean, they're seriously 30 something, 40 something foot long. They're all pulled over the rear duals of the tractor. Like it's like wrapped around the duals. And then it even has this big fan apparatus on it. And it's got like a coolant hose that's metal on there, and it's like ripped off. And Dad was just like, he said some strong.
I can imagine it was not safe for young years.
No, it was not. It was not. And the guy, as soon as we got there, he was like, I didn't turn too sharp. That was like the first thing he said. And I'm like, well, how else do you think this happened? And so he did not get to go home early that day because we had to stay, and we literally had to fish out all these hoses. I don't know how many thousands of dollars they spent on hoses after that, but we had to take off all of these hoses, because I mean it like tore them, like it like ripped these hoses. So we had to take off all the hoses, get them replaced. We were able to solder the little metal hose back on, and it worked. But when we traded in, I'll never forget, Dad traded it in on he got a 1245, and one of our local farmers, he's a buddy of ours, he called and was like, hey Tim, you got a planter up here I'm looking at. I was just going to ask you about it. And Dad was like, just don't get that planter. Like, just find you a different planter. He was like, find another one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was not good. But that's what I would recommend, man. 1200 with the arms, not the tracking system. And the other part I'll touch on here, he said, his grandpa was saying, don't tie up a bunch of money into something that you could lose to someone else. I've heard that a lot. I've heard that like from people saying don't grow corn on ground that you might not have the following year. Man, I don't care. Like I'm in the business of trying to better the soil and grow strong yields and good crops. So, you know, if I farm it with the thought of I'm going to lose it the next year, then I'm never going to really invest in getting it. I'm never going to get the crops and yields that I could.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, the whole idea, you know, scared money don't make money. You know, you can say all kinds of cliches or whatever. But yeah, and then that goes back to too, we're a big believer in, you know, when you're working rented ground, having a long-term lease. So you are doing best practices with, you know, not just this year in mind. You're worried about the long term, you know, benefits the soil, the farm as a whole. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and
sometimes of course that's out of your hand, you know, landowner just may not be interested in doing that or.
Yeah. And where I would agree with your grandpa is like, as far as putting down lime, like if I got a place that I have a 1 year lease on, I'm probably not going to put lime on it. If I have a 5 year lease and I'm at the end of the lease and we haven't re-upped it yet, I'm probably not going to put lime on it unless I've talked to the landlord and secured the next 5 years.
And to me, that'd be a big selling point to that landowner. Like, oh wow, this guy really is looking out, you know, just for the overall. But yeah, you're going to tell them, hey, you know, it's a business too. I'm not going to make this investment for the next guy to reap all the benefits.
Yeah.
You know, I really want to do this because it's really going to help your farm, but let's come to an agreement. Let's extend this lease, and I can go ahead and do best practices.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and you asked about cover crops. I really have enjoyed doing cover crops. If I could give you any guidance on that, I know a lot of guys they plant it and drill it and all that, but man, I like it if you can on beans. if you can catch it, what I like is to get it. And I'm sure if you're in a farming area, there's most likely an aerial applicator around there. But if there is, what I would do is right before the leaves fall off of the plants, have them fly on your cover crop. And then the leaves fall, and you usually get a pretty good stand.
And I would say reach out to like your extension agent or other local guys, I know cover crops are a big topic of, debate.
Yep.
And that's different in different regions of the country, the benefits you get. Now, again, in eastern Oklahoma, they shouldn't be terribly different than us, but still, they're 2 states away at the same time. So, if nobody around you's doing it, there may be a reason. So,
and there's probably, I feel like there would be funding for cover crops because from my understanding,
through the USDA,
yeah, that's why you need to talk to your extension agent. That'd be on the NRCS side.
Yeah,
but talk to them and see if they have some funding for cover crops because the EQIP program, which I utilize a bunch, I think that's more or less nationwide. So I would check with them.
Yeah,
but
yeah, good topic.
That is, man. I appreciate it. Good luck on the journey. Never hesitate to reach out about anything. So we appreciate that, Hunter. Thank you. All right, next one here. Nicholas writes in. He said, I heard you talking about Chris Bennett's articles. Oh, that's cool. He said he did an article on my family's fight with the federal government for over 40 years. The article is called Blood and Dirt, a farmer's 30-year fight with the feds. If you have time, it would be great if you could read it. I listen to the podcast on a regular basis. Keep up the awesome work. Thanks, Nick. Definitely will be looking that up. I haven't read it. Have you?
I can't say that I have, but yeah, that sounds like right up my alley.
I was gonna say I'm like pumped up just hearing them fighting the federal government.
Like I've professed my love for Chris Bennett on here before. If he's writing about something, it's going to be interesting, and if it's him writing about a farmer fighting the feds, like my lord, I'm get the filmmakers ready.
I'm saying Bobby Lee's got a chubby over here just talking about this. And even the title, Blood and Dirt. Man, that just sounds awesome. Blood and Dirt, a farmer's 30-year fight with the feds.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. It was an article. It's a few years old. I don't think I've read this one. That'll be some light reading that probably say that these articles are pretty long. Well, I've already been there for today. And so, yeah, and it might be a good one. This is when your legs might fall asleep by the time.
A long one. Well,
and typically Chris's articles are, he
puts a lot into them.
Yeah. So, as I get to reading this one, I might realize I've read that one before, but yeah, I will definitely read it.
I will too. We may discuss it on the show.
Yeah.
That sounds, like I said, that we've told y'all how much we like the government. So, that'll be a cool thing to talk about. Appreciate you writing that in. Let's see, make sure. Yeah, Nicholas, thank you and appreciate that. And we'd love to, any other questions, feel free to submit them. All right. Jake writes in. I don't think I've done this. Oh yeah. I don't think I've done this one. Jake writes in, love the podcast. I listen while I'm spraying blueberries, even some organic down in South Georgia. I'm sure you've thought of this, but I need an explanation as to why Poison's Talk Dirty to Me is not your theme song. Keep up the good work. Happy to discuss organic versus conventional if they come up. Well,
when you try to look us up on YouTube, that's usually the first thing.
Dirty, yeah.
It's Poison, and then it's like our channel is right underneath it.
Yeah. Man, I would love to have like awesome, badass music on there, but unfortunately, the YouTube gods and them will not allow it.
Can we buy like a copyright license? Because I know like whenever I upload a video, it's like add music licenses or whatever.
Yeah. From like a smaller artist, Poison, it's no telling what kind of ungodly price
I've never priced anything. Yeah, so say it's not cheap.
No, like that's like, Led Zeppelin is one that's like notoriously people want their music in videos and different things, and like they never can get them because I think their licensing fee is like so ungodly that nobody can afford it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know because I'm not an artist, but in a way, I would think, just having their music out there, even if they're not getting paid for it to say, like, be on our intro for the show, like, still you're going to have a certain number of people that hear that and be like, man, that's a jam. And they're going to go to iTunes and pay and download it or whatever, whatever. I don't know.
Let me see.
Definitely outside of my lane there. I'm no expert.
Yeah, see, it like an indie artist, it says here about $100 to license theirs, but it says several $100,000 for a major record, like a major recording artist.
Damn.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. We gotta. Y'all need to like and subscribe and leave those rating and reviews. Maybe we can one day get big enough we can afford that.
I want to see if it shows Led Zeppelin. How much does it cost to license?
Well, I know, like, some artists won't even let their music be streamed.
Yeah, Metallica did that. See, all right, so if we wanted some Zeppelin on here for just a measly $250,000, we could have some Led Zeppelin.
Even for like a 20-second clip of it, like on the intro. Yeah. Oh, wow.
Now, Stairway to Heaven, it says, is actually about $500,000.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And Johnny Cash, damn, Johnny Cash, he blows the doors off of Led Zeppelin. Johnny Cash is usually $1 million per song.
I don't know. I could see, like, if we were doing like some major Hollywood production and like one of them on the soundtrack or something. Yeah, I don't know. I could see where.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but I don't know, man. That's y'all got to leave us a hell of a lot more reviews if y'all want us to have some. If we're going to cover those kind of prices. We need one of those Rogan contracts if we're going to be able to pay that kind of money.
If we land a Rogan contract, by God, we're going to have some badass music in here.
We can pencil that into the budget.
Yeah, Poison might come in studio and perform the intro. All right, man. We appreciate you writing in, Jake. Yeah, I wish we could have something like that, but we're just not there yet. One day we'll get there.
Yeah, my mind is blown because I have gotten copyright violations on YouTube. Like using, and it'd be just like instrumental music, like playing when I've got like drone footage.
Yeah.
And it'd be like stuff that I've gotten like from my software that I edit with, but something would catch on it and they would flag my video. I'm like, wow.
The first copyright strike I ever got, I was in the Combine. I was doing a video and it was Africa by Toto.
Yeah.
Was playing. And like it got me on there. And I think I had to go back and like it gave me the opportunity to like edit out the song or something. And it was just playing like in the background on the Combine.
Yeah.
So now like if I'm
always careful because my radio's playing in our barn. And like I always have to get over and cut it off. You know?
Yeah. Well, that is actually we're up to it. We got one here. I don't know what the hell this guy is saying. The name is Doug and it just says, want more about your product.
I think he might have got the wrong email.
Yeah. So, Doug, if you're listening, I don't know what you're talking about.
This is our product. You are listening to it.
Yeah. So, feel free to reach back out because he actually reached out twice. Want more about your product both times. So I don't know what's
probably a bot.
I got a feeling it might be. So,
it's like I get these emails occasionally about like people wanting me to like do stuff with their product on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I'll look at it and it's like cheap ass like costume jewelry or some bullshit. And I'm like, what? Like, have you ever watched my YouTube channel? Like, or to be something just, and usually it's just like, I imagine they're probably like Chinese people.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're not even, and it's just junk to begin with. But it's like that would not fit in with what I do at all. Like,
no. Yeah. That's like the Temu thing that everybody's gotten into.
Well, I get email. What is that?
I've never used it, but from my understanding, it's like basically like a 100% Chinese-made Amazon, I think.
Okay.
Like you can buy. From my understanding, everything is
really familiar. I think I get emails from occasionally.
I'm sure you do. I do too, and it'll be like super cheap. It'll be like a pair of tennis shoes. It'll be an ad or something. Show like a pair of tennis shoes.
Oh yeah. I've got some paid YouTube collab.
Yeah, for Temu.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like Chinese everything. I mean, there's probably nothing of quality. Like
super cheap stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole thing. Like when I look at something that's that cheap, I'm like, I'm not buying it, because if it's that cheap, there's zero chance it is worth a damn.
Well, and that's what some of the guys, because I know some people that buy from it and they're like, well, the stuff's so cheap that when it breaks, you can just buy another one because it's so cheap.
Like, that's okay on like some things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm also at a point in my life where I'm like, I kind of appreciate quality.
Yes.
If it's something that I know I'm going to probably break anyway or lose, like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, it's just disposable. Just throw it away.
Yes. Well, that's our questions for right now, guys. Please feel free to submit some more. If you have any burning questions, go to our contact page, Talk Dirt Podcast. A couple of things I wanted to talk about real quick before we run out of time. Did you see where John Deere has teamed up with SpaceX?
So that's Musk, Elon's company?
Yeah.
I have not. Yeah.
The
You gonna
gist,
put a tractor on the moon?
I think so.
Start growing.
Growing the lunar beans, man.
Yeah. There you go.
No, we're moving closer and closer to the autonomous tractors.
Yeah.
And
I mean, they already exist. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if they're in widespread production, but I've heard, like listening to other podcast stuff on ag where which it makes sense. I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't. I mean,
yeah.
hell, we got autonomous airplanes bombing, people all over the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be pretty precise, or maybe it isn't very precise, and that's why
Maybe they're not too worried about it. Yeah.
That's maybe why some parts of the world don't like us too much. But
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
it's the big thing of it. So it's kind of started out, I saw an article and then it led me to this one. But the rural areas, I mean, they're notorious for having poor internet.
Tell me about it. Like I just doing like the last year, have I even been able to upload it at my house?
Yeah. Well, that's what they're working with SpaceX now. And from the sounds of it, it's going to actually replace, I don't know if it's going to replace it, but, John Deere has always had kind of the globe that mounts on top of the tractor for the GPS.
See them for sale on the internet all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And SpaceX is designing they said it looks like a pizza box, and it's going to go on there and it's going to link them to the satellite and provide the GPS and the internet, like the broadband network, so they'll be able to run their software.
So that John Deere can see what you're doing and be sure you're not allowed to do your own repairs or anything like that out in the field.
Yep. And that's what it says. Self-driving John Deere tractors can operate autonomously within a controlled area like a field.
Okay, yeah, that does. I guess you can't have an autonomous tractor that's not like linked into the grid.
But yeah, I mean, Deere. Look, and I'm a green man, but Deere has done some very questionable things lately. We'll have to talk. I don't know if we've ever talked about that.
It's one reason why I don't know that I'll ever get rid of my old Jeep, because the sucker, like, I mean, obviously there's electronics on everything, but.
Well, hey, actually, we didn't even mention this. I need to mention this. Talking about, so, my Kenworth's an 04. Everybody likes a lot of people seek out the, I don't know, it's either 09 or 07 semi trucks. Like, that's the years they want, because they don't have, there's no E-log and there's like no DEF, none of that stuff on there. Well, there's a downside that comes with that. Did you hear recently about our neighbor's truck that got stolen?
No.
Well,
big truck.
He had 06 Peterbilt 379, is in Nashville, and it's been up there for years. He's got a guy, he drives it through the week for him, and the dude went out there the other morning to get in there. Somebody had cut the lock off the gate, opened the gate up, and the truck was gone. They had stolen the truck. And they were talking about, like, because I think his other truck is a 2013 or 2014. From my understanding, they almost can't steal one that new, because it's got so much stuff on it, they could track it relatively easily. This one being a 06 model, they can't track it. And he said, I guess.
Still, you would think a big truck like that, there's so many places they have to go through checks and everything. Like,
I know it. See, they unhooked the trailer, so they just took the truck. Well, and that's what I was thinking. I'm like, man, like, I'm trying to think of logistics
anywhere
here.
he goes through a way station or anything, like, you think that'd be one of the things they would check? Like, all this truck stolen.
Yeah. Well, the cops or somebody, whoever they were talking to in the area, he told them that the truck was probably within about 10 miles of where they stole it.
Yeah.
He was like, realistically, the truck is probably right around here. And he said, and by now, they've probably already cut it into pieces.
Well, that's what I want to say, going to a chop shop.
Yep.
Yeah. Just part it out.
Yeah, and it's just wild to think about, man. It's like, he said it's probably 4 or 5 guys that go in, they steal the truck, they take it. He said they'll cut the fuel tank out, cut off the tanks, cut the stacks off. I mean, they literally just cut the whole truck
to pieces.
Part
it out,
yeah. Yep. And part it. And that's what, like we were talking, because on the motor, it'll have a serial number plate, because that's what he was like, well, they got to have a serial number on there. But, I mean,
just pop it off.
You can pop the plate off. Because when I was selling, I had a 379 years ago, and I sold it. Terrible mistake for me to sell it, but I sold it, and it was plated at 550 horsepower, and it had every bit of 550 horsepower, probably 600 horsepower. And when I sold it, the guy was like, is that the original plate? I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, man, we've had people that have actually, he said, we bought one time and found out they had actually popped the plate off and stuck a different plate on. Like, they had put a 550 plate on it, and it was like it turned out to be way less than 550 horsepower. So, I mean, people manipulate that, but I don't think there's any other way they can check the motor besides the plate.
Yeah.
So it was, it's pretty crazy.
And I guess, I don't know, maybe one of those deals where you're selling one that doesn't have a plate on it. You just gotta, like anything stolen, you're selling it for pennies on the dollar, and somebody's buying it, probably knowing it's hot.
Yeah. Well, and see, my, that 359 that I had, it didn't have a plate on the motor. And it was really hard to ever even find, because that truck was an 81 model. So it was before VIN numbers. It had a serial number, and it was only like 6 numbers. So it was hard to even get license for that truck. Because apparently Peterbilt, I don't know if they started recycling numbers, but they went from the 6 or 7 serial number to the 13 number VIN. And it was like the next year. So when I would go to get, when I went to get tags for that truck, it registered as a 2011 Peterbilt, 368 or something. I don't know, 380, whatever. And I was like, that truck's a 1981 359. And then they had me, they almost had me getting worried. I'm like, damn, is this truck hot that I done bought?
Yeah.
And then I found the number plated, it wasn't plated, it's actually stamped into the frame. And I found it on there, and I was like, all right, and it was the right number. But so, yeah, it gets interesting. Let's see, there was one other thing. Oh, I didn't even realize this. Have you ever heard of AgLaunch?
No.
I had not either, and I was just, again, checking out articles online. And where did it go? So AgLaunch 365, they do this startup thing, and it says 10 groundbreaking ag tech startups chosen for 2024 for their accelerator program. Oh, they're based in Memphis.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd never heard of AgLaunch Initiative. I was just going to run through I thought these were kind of neat. I was going to run through their 10 things here before we wrap up. This is their 10 startups. They were invited to participate in exchange equity for farmer-led business development, farm trial assistance services. And the AgLaunch 365, this is what it includes. The first one was Earnest Ag, and it develops probiotics that increase crop yields for farmers. Pretty interesting. The probiotics protect against disease, insects, weeds, promote, nutrient, soil health. I'm kind of curious what how that'll work. Is it going to be a application in the sprayer or what?
I would think so, but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's another one. Gather builds simplified robotic tools for specialty crop farms. It's first easy to use and affordable crop transportation robot for table grape farms increases harvest efficiency. So I guess they'll have a bunch of Terminators picking grapes.
Yeah.
That sounds scary. Grip Ag revolutionizes farm activity and equipment tracking through a simple yet powerful QR code. I don't really understand that one. Quorum Bio is engineering the next generation of microbial biofertilizers using a novel gene editing platform to enhance nutrient availability and to improve seed vigor and yields with less fertilizer. I'm kind of intrigued by the microbial biofertilizers. I've seen some of that, where people have even made like they call it like worm tea or something, where they've taken the dirt and crap from worms and they make it into like a liquid, and then they can spray it over the top of the crops. It's really good fertilizer. So that'll be kind of interesting. I feel like if people have an issue with GMO, they're going to shit their pants with gene
when
editing.
I heard that, I was like, oh, buddy, you're what you mean? Yeah, for big production ag, yeah, we don't care, but yeah,
the gene editing part, people are going to be like, well, I mean, no. Now, the microbial biofertilizers, again, I'm thinking of the earthworm tea.
Oh, yeah. Well, they want it both ways, though. They want all natural and, use the natural fertilizer, but without doing any gene editing.
Yes. And then Resent, patented agrobiological technology platform that provides high efficacy, sustainable alternatives to synthetic agrochemicals, enhancing plant growth and crop protection effects. So a lot of this stuff here does sound very much like they're kind of trying to tip the needle towards that regenerative scale, kind of getting away from our old school chemicals. There's a Riz Bio provides a low-cost, high-tech soil testing approach that decodes the complexity of the soil microbiome to reveal a range of vital characteristics. There's several, man. It's pretty interesting to see. Like, I mean, it's really wild when you start seeing some of the technology that is in ag now. Like, it's pretty dadgum advanced.
Oh yeah, and then the whole the Mike Bloomberg, just put a seed in the ground or whatever. Man, there's so much. I mean, when you think about just how much money is tied up in ag and how, I mean, obviously our audience wouldn't argue, and we certainly wouldn't. Ag might be the most important industry, or certainly one of them in the world.
Yeah.
We got to feed ourselves, and so why would with something so important not use every bit of available cutting edge technology? I mean, it's just dumb. And so you have to think that it wouldn't. So yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting, man. We're definitely on the cusp, I think, of some big probably breakthroughs in the ag sector. It'll be interesting to see how it all happens, because I know one of the guys I follow, he was saying that corn will reach a point where the average yield is going to be 400 bushel per acre. And he was talking about, really, once we get there, it's not going to be worth growing, because you're going to be producing so much freaking corn that there's going to be no demand whatsoever, because the supply.
We just won't need very many acres. Yeah.
So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
The national average right now is, or I don't know, like 170.
I think so. Yeah.
Like, I know when the USDA is putting out like their estimates or whatever, early in the growing season, it's usually, it's always like, it's
always
like in the 170s somewhere around there. So
always takes are
twice as right. Yeah, though, because if they say it's up like even just a bushel,
it smokes.
Of course, over whatever millions of acres, computes to a lot more corn. But you're talking about well over double the production. So I mean, we'll need same production on less than half as many acres. So I don't know. Can graze a lot of cattle on that other ground.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, and actually,
which everybody wants grass fed anyway. So there you go.
And Bobby Lee and I was telling him earlier,
which I would point out, corn is a grass.
There you go. That's true. That is very true. I told Bobby Lee earlier we still got time. There's a convention going on soon here in Miami. I think in Miami.
I don't know where it is. NCBA.
The NCBA's convention. So we should have gone and crashed the party. We could have been.
There'll be opposition people there. Or people that just aren't the typical NCBA bootlickers. Because some of the state organizations will step out, from NCBA's.
Will RCAF be there?
No. The other organizations won't be there, but it's for better or worse, NCBA is by far the biggest group.
Yeah.
And so like the trade show alone, almost everybody from the industry will have a presence there. Even some of the companies that fully support, legislation and stuff that NCBA is actively fighting against.
Yeah.
Because and NCBA does some good stuff. I'm not going to sit here and like they.
Oh, it'd probably be a pretty fun thing to go to.
Oh yeah, and of course a lot of the haters, and I don't want to just be a hater kind of, point. I was like, there are no real cattlemen there. It's just all the people that, the real ones. Because it's in like first week of February.
Yeah, and it's in Florida somewhere.
Yeah, all the real cattlemen are at home having to take care of everything. It's the middle of winter.
Yeah.
It's just people wanting to show up and take their selfie. By the sign. Going in and crap like that. And there is a lot of that.
Yeah.
A lot of suits and whatnot. Guys that last time they actually laid their hand on a cow's back. Because God knows when. But there are some real cattlemen there, and there's some people I really respect that are on that side of the debate. And NCBA, it's where they feel like the opposition is on any issue regarding the markets and trying to fix the markets for the cattleman and the cattle feeder versus the meat packer.
Yeah.
That's where they have consistently turned their backs on the cattleman is on those deals. There's other things, because obviously we're fighting, stupid idiot government stuff, Green New Deal, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
We're like, they're out for our interest, there. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we are not crashing it. Actually, I tell you what we should have gone to.
I've always been intrigued because like the U.S. Cattlemen's Association, same way they have their big convention, which again, I'm not even a member of Tennessee Cattlemen's Association anymore, mainly because of their stance on a lot of legislative issues.
Yeah.
Like I'm always like, man, I'd love to go to that convention, but it's always like, man, it's just getting away for a few days and with the farm, with vet clinic, with the kids. And it's like, all right, well, when we do get away, it's usually to go to a ball game or a horse show for my kids or veterinary convention, which I have to go to those to get
in 5 days we need to go. There's a convention we need to go to that I can get us into.
What's that?
It's invite only. No, SHOT Show.
SHOT Show, okay.
That's the one, man. We need to get Talk Dirt needs a presence at SHOT Show.
In Vegas?
Yep. It's I had a guy message me today that's in the industry, and he was like, "You coming to SHOT this year?" And I said, "Man, I still have not made it. I don't know why, because I've been approved for the last 4 years.
Well,
but I can take a person.
Well, I love Vegas, and my wife is not a big Vegas person, which I'm not like Vegas itself. Like I ain't hitting the clubs and staying out till 4 a.m. or nothing like that. But
yeah,
Vegas is one of the few places you can fly direct out of Memphis and for dirt cheap. You can get to Vegas for $250, round trip. And I'm like, man, 2-3 nights. That's probably about all I want in Vegas.
Yeah.
They eat some nice, you can eat a 5-star steakhouse without even trying. You just stumble into one.
Well, maybe next year, Talk Dirt to Me might be in Vegas.
Yeah.
Because we can even do a media. I can get us in the media room, so we could even pull some folks from the industry. We could do a cool little Talk Dirt to Me from there. Yeah. You down to go to SHOT Show?
I'd be down, like I say, for a couple of days.
Yeah.
One of the big veterinary conventions is in Vegas every year, usually mid-February.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, my wife, I'm like, let's just go to that one. It's easy to get there and get back, a direct flight, doesn't cost hardly anything. Of course, there's a billion hotel rooms. You can spend as much or as little on one as you want. And last year we did that. We decided literally within a week's notice, we're going to go. Yeah. And we just went out there. We weren't even there for 2 days.
I remember that. Yeah.
Touchdown. I got my credentials for the meeting. Ate out, a couple of nice restaurants, bet a little, I guess it was February, so it was just basketball, bet on some basketball games, came back home.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll have to do that. You want to cue up the man?
Yeah, we got to get him on the board.
We do. I've YouTubed it.
Start off with 2 words. Made in America.
Made in America. So I actually just got this in today.
I know what you're going to say then.
The Double H boots.
I went to their website and I was like, I got to see what all they've got that's made in USA.
They got a pretty good little selection.
Yeah.
It's 17. Now, this is just on the men's side. It's 13 or 17 pair that are made in USA because you can filter it.
You mean, what about the non-binary section?
Yeah, I didn't see a non-binary. I didn't see a they, them on there.
They just have men's and women's?
Men's and women's. That actually offends me.
85 genders.
Oh, I think it's 157 or something. Yeah, I know. I know. That's actually, I'm really offended.
We should email them.
Yeah, and be like, hey, where's the they, them tab?
Yeah. Well, why are there only 2 genders listed here?
Yes. But no, I got them in today. And man, they look awesome. Like I put them on.
Yeah, I saw you put it on Instagram or somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, they're apparently, and I kind of nerd out on boots because I'm somewhat of a boot snob. And so I had gone to YouTube and I had watched some reviews. There's one guy that he'll cut the boots in half. He gets these boots and he cuts them in half, and then he kind of goes through the layers and all that. But I was watching one review on the Double H boots, and he was talking about how phenomenal their sole is. They have because I bought these to work in. Like I'll wear these every day, and he was like, the sole is so good. He was like, it hardly ever wears out. And so he said, really, Double H kind of hurt themselves putting the sole on this boot, because he was like, the sole just doesn't wear out.
Yeah.
But it feels really comfortable. They look really nice. Like I didn't get any exotic pair. It's just leather work boots, but I think it's called.
Did you get steel toe?
I did not.
Yeah, I'm not a steel toe kind of guy. Typically.
I'm not either. But, and I'll tell you what led me down this. Mike Glover that I had on the other podcast, he put up a thing, and he was going through his closet, and he was like mad. It was on Instagram. He was looking at his Ariat boots. They were made in China.
I was about to say, you already know where they are.
Yep. And then
there ain't no cowboys in China, which that's Anderson Bean's kind of tagline.
Yeah, and that's what and Mike, he probably heard it because he said the same. He was like, it's a boot, and he really was mad because his Ariat boots were they had the leather bottom, and then the top was the multicam, and it had the American flag.
Oh yeah, I know.
And he's like, these have the damn flag on it, and it's made in China. And then he had some Justins. They were like made in China. Now Justin's does make some in the USA. I had some of their lace-up boots. Are those Justins?
Yeah.
Made in USA?
Yeah, we've highlighted them on here.
Okay.
Justin Bent Rail is made in USA.
Gotcha.
But you're right. The like just production line Justins. I think Double H is the same way. They have some that are made overseas.
Yep. Yeah, you got to go to Double H's site and, like I say, filter it out.
Yeah, not to hijack the Double H.
Yeah,
segment,
made in USA. Yeah. Well, and that's what I told him. Because I responded, I was like, I know some Justins are made in USA, and he went down.
Which I'll even, because Anderson Bean, they've always been made in USA. They now have a cheaper spin-off line, their horsepower line, that are made in China.
Gotcha.
Which I'm always like, y'all's tagline is ain't no cowboys in China.
Yeah, you sold out.
Which they're not even Anderson Bean boots. They're just a boot that they're letting some factory, they're just putting their name on it. And I won't even entertain like looking at those. Like I'm looking on the internet.
Well, and that's what, see, and I'm a big Tacovas fan. I love my Tacovas. I got a bunch of pair of Tacovas. Now they're made in Leon, Mexico, and apparently that's like the boot central. Like that's where like it, and I'm okay with that. I don't hate my Mexican brothers over there, but I really when some people were commenting on Mike's thing saying Double H, you check out Double H. So I looked up Double H, and then I found them, and then William Lee that we had on last week, I asked him about it, and he said, yeah, I've got a pair of Double H. And so I was like, well, I'll try them out. And man, they feel awesome. They look awesome. It's got the American flag on the side of it down there. And when you open up the box, on the box, it says made in USA. You open it up, they got a little thing in there, and you just feel like an American.
Yeah.
Like you
I have to
open
check
it up.
them out. I'm always looking for another pair of boots.
Yep.
I've actually got a pair of Anderson Beans that are old. I need to send them back in to get resold.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go, guys. Check out Double H. While you're also scanning the internet, check out agzaga.com.
Yes, don't forget them. They do not sell Double H boots, I don't think.
No.
They sell a little apparel, but
some underwear.
Yeah, things like that. But check them out. Bailnet wrap. Again, we keep saying it. That season will be here before you know it. You might as well go ahead and stock up your parts, your toolboxes. I need to get some knives for my disc mower. They have a wide selection. Hay rake, teeth, whatever, you name it. Just look them up, check it out. Use the discount code, get you 10% off.
Yep. All right, guys. Leave us a rating and a review. Hit that like button, subscribe, and we will catch you next week.
Yep. Y'all take it easy.